Wall is a quotation of me. So we can get rid of this rather quickly, although of course it's a quotation of me in French, which I like because I of course wrote it in English and Isabel translated it into French, and now I read it in French in order to speak about it in English, which is exactly a cat cradle game in and of itself. Nous avons besoin de nouveaux types de récits. We need other kinds of stories. We must change the story. The stories of the earth, we must change the deadly story. The story of the first beautiful words and weapons, the story of the killing, the story of achievement as the achievement of second birthing, that is killing. The great existentialist philosopher Sartre, who argues that it is in second birthing that we become human. First birthing is merely birthing, the birthing of women, the birthing of the earth, the birthing in the soil. It is in second birthing, in the achievement of self-made, in the following through tragically of self-realized purpose, of that kind of tragic consciousness that is human consciousness. That is second birthing, usually through some kind of killing. If ever there was nonsense of an extraordinary kind, and a nonsense that has ruled storytelling, Sartre only concretized and distilled what is a very old set of commitments, not just beliefs, but commitments. And we, all of us, in this time where the ongoingness of life as we know it, where Gaia is intruding, where the intrusion of that which will no longer be put down threatens ways of life as usual. It doesn't threaten life itself. Life itself will go on for as long as this planet has the right conditions of temperature and moisture and whatever. For microbes are very inventive. It's not like life itself is at stake, but vast ways of life and becoming with each other across peoples and species on this earth are truly at stake. And the rate of extinction of ways of life, ways of living and dying, of peoples of all species, including human, are truly on the ledge, on the edge of falling off into nothingness. The story of the earth is at stake as we participate in it. Our own extinction is, of course, truly possible. But with or without extinction, in terms of the kind of final death, the deepening of the destruction of ways of living and dying on this earth is happening. And the story of this earth, the arts of living on a damaged planet, Anna Tsing's term, the absolute obligation to become capable, to render each other capable of changing the story, a story of ongoingness, cultivated in the earth, in the tunnels of the earth. If the makers of living and dying on this earth could begin to somehow be at risk to each other, to propose something real, to make a proposition in a sense that Whitehead might mean, that which is not yet but might be, some mode of coherence which might have a chance, every scale, until the stories start getting told like that, and until those who tell the news start hearing where those bits of story are actually being told, where people are actually doing this, but they're not on the news. Maybe just a little bit, maybe very weak. How to make the weak stories stronger and the strong stories weaker. We are speechless to this now, and then we give it bad names. But good thinking always happens at the moment of speechlessness. you know, as a proper Catholic kid who grew up with, you know, reading Thomas Aquinas and Anselm, and, you know, I had these doubts about faith, and so I was told to read all this stuff when I was 13 and 14. You don't understand a word. What? You have no idea what you're reading. You know, the mystics and the you know, Thomas Aquinas. You know, come on, give me a break. You have no idea, but it fucks with your mind. It changes who you are, right? And so I, from early on, you know, baby Catholic on, I mean, you know, teenage Catholic on, I knew that the minute you start reciting the names of God, you are an idolater. The minute you think you have a positive name, you have become an idolater. You have told a very particular kind of lie, the biggest kind of lie. And that the only truth that can be told must at its most fundamental level be the failure of naming. It's the failure of giving positive names. It's at that moment of failure that there is some encounter with it, whatever it is, something that's not a lie. And the minute you name it God, you're an idolater. So worshippers of God are idolaters. And yet, the only way to come to grips, to come into the presence of it, say the important mystics that shaped my little 13-year-old screwed up mind. The only way to come into the presence of it is to constantly keep doing positive things. You have to keep trying to make an experiment work. You have to constantly keep writing this particular story, not some story in general, but this story. You have to do this. You have to be here, not everywhere. You have to be attached to some things, not everything. The only possible way is again and again and again we engage each other in doing something. You know? Okay?
Okay.
You don't even have your back brace. All right. Those with stamina continue.